Hello, friends. Robert Bevan here, author of the Caverns Creatures series of comedy, fantasy novels, and short stories. With me is Sam West, and today we're going to be talking about the spell Gust.
How many of our intros are going to include like hands moving towards camera for like rays or explosions or gusts, I guess?
In whatever mood we're in.
That's a good point. Sometimes just like deadpan, this spell sucks. Not the case here. Gust is pretty, it's fine. I like Gust.
Okay. All right. Well, before we get in, what does it do?
All right. It's an action 30-foot range. Instantaneous. This is what I like to consider one of the cosmetic cantrips. So this is a cantrip that offers a little bit of utility, but mainly you take it to be a flavorful expression of your character's goals, their sort of magical appearance, if you will.
The air wizard.
An air wizard, exactly. So what this does with, you get to pick one of three things, and you affect it within the 30-foot range. So one medium or smaller creature makes a strength save or is pushed 5 feet away from you. That is a very good effect. You create a small blast of air that's able to move an object not being ward or carried that weighs no more than 5 pounds. I'm sorry. It is pushed 10 feet away from you. It doesn't deal damage or anything. And then you create a harmless sensory effect using the air, such as leaves rustling, wind slamming shutters, your clothes rippling debris. I personally just perpetually, if I don't have my common magic item with the Cloak of Billowing, I use Gust to make my character have a Cloak of Billowing, because why would you not want a billowing cloak or cape out behind you all the time to look epic?
Sure.
So yeah, that's kind of what Gust does. The two modes are actually the medium or smaller creature shove is the bulk of doing the heavy lifting here, as far as like the modes go. But all three, the last one's the cosmetic stuff that I talked about at the beginning. The middle one, moving a thing,
Yeah, if you got Mage Hand, you could do that anyway.
You can do it better because you can pull it towards you. It only ever blasts it away.
Right. Or you can move it to a particular place where you want it.
Right. I do think this has that niche upside of it's also attached to just a 5-foot ranged shove, which isn't most of the time worth your action, but sometimes it can be. If you're like, my druid put up a wall of thorns, yoink, you're going into that with just a cantrip. That's, you probably have better things to do with your action than that. But if you don't, Gust is a thing you can do, right? Gust is a thing that in the low tiers, if you take it and you don't use it a whole lot and your DM forgets that you have it, and then you get to the cliffside battle against the big bad, and you're like, all right, I rolled the 23 for my initiative, and the DM's like, okay, go, the baddie gives it initiative count 20, we got plenty of time, and you go, Gust, and it falls off the cliff.
Yeah.
And okay, there's the encounter.
I know something you don't know. I am not left-handed. Too bad.
Yeah, exactly. It's incredibly fine. The use cases for it, I think, are a bit fringe, but the floor of it is just, I look like a little wind wizard, and I'm here for that.
All right, now they're, of course, pushing people off cliffs or whatever, out of windows or into walls of thorns. Mm-hmm. But what about getting out of engagement?
You could just disengage.
Yeah, or
that's an option. The only time that I would really say gusting to survive is worth it, because if you gust them instead of disengaging, if they have the same speed as you can then move 30 feet conceivably. Again, if we're talking White Room, you got your 5 feet against this thing, it's got 30 feet, you got 30 feet. You push your 5 feet back, you run 30 feet, it now has to dash to get in range of you. So it is a varied version of disengaging, whereas disengaging, it just can run at, it'll keep pace and keep attacking you as you disengage. So you'd have to try to dash away. Most of the time, trying to dash away is going to be better, because this is the same kind of context, right? Making it make a strength save versus just hoping it doesn't hit you. Those are kind of the same in my book. Because if you don't push it away, you can't leave at all. If you disengage, at least you can always move somewhere else. And if you're faster than it, well, then it's not keeping up anyway, and it has to dash and all that fun stuff. So for the practical application of using it defensively to get off me, pretty bad. But that's not the end of the world. It doesn't need to be great at everything.
No. What else are we going to talk about with Gust? All right. There's also the similarly named Gust of Wind. What are the differences? Well, I mean, that's not a cantrip, is it?
That's true. It's a 2nd level spell. So the Gust of Wind gives you a consistent, basically pillar of air that shoots in a direction that you want it to. It makes the area difficult terrain. It pushes lots of different creatures. It creates a interesting little puzzle as far as like how do I position this to really screw the most creatures over by either slowing them down, shoving them into things. It's way better for meat grinder stuff where if you're using like wall of blades and things like that, you just like grate all those goblins into the meat grinder they go. That's kind of the fun things that I would recommend doing with that instead. Gust is just a single creature, so and it doesn't even like give a persistent effect. It's just like push you. Period. Most of the time, like I think you'll probably see this actually get a little bit more use indoors. In that, like you can like I push you off the banister. A gust of wind is probably about as good in that situation if you're just trying to like shove somebody off a fixed distance. So that's something that Gust is going for over gust of wind. But gust of wind has way more applicable uses as far as like affecting and having weight in an encounter. Granted, they're all still somewhat niche. Gust is just kind of limited to when I really need to push somebody that's within 30 feet of me, and I need to push them 5 feet exactly.
Yeah.
You will catch people off guard with this, though, right? Like if you are on the just second floor of a tavern brawl and you are 30 feet away from one of the bruisers, they probably aren't necessarily thinking, I don't want to go over this railing. And they may be going over that railing against their knowledge, right?
Sure.
You come within range and be like, yoink, off you go. They fall 10 feet, they crash into a table or something, you get a nice cinematic scene of it. I mean, it's Gust. There's not a lot to talk about. You push things. This is not particularly powerful. This is definitely on the bottom end. It's not quite as bad as like Control Flames, I don't think. I think Control Flames is still a little bit worse than this because at least the shove will have some really impactful moments. At the same time, like this is definitely the low tier of usable effects of the cosmetic cantrips, which makes it if you only take it if you want to be the airbender. If you don't want to be the airbender, probably go to do something else.
All right, you got a score?
Yeah, this is a 2. I can't give the cosmetic cantrips lower than a 2 because they're just like they help create the fantasy you want, and they do it in a very finite, like concise way. So
yeah, I'll give it a 2 as well because I'm sure. Yeah, it's not a 1 because there are going to be some moments where you push people and it'll be very satisfying.
Even like the random time the MacGuffin's on the podium and the big bad goes, I shall now grab it, and you go, I gust it into the abyss. Or I gusted into the portal or whatever. Again, we're talking like once a campaign kind of usage for that kind of effect, but still, it'll pop up every once in a while.
All right. Well, that was Gust. Thank you, Sam, and thank you everyone for watching and listening, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching. If you found this helpful, informative, or entertaining, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button below. You needn't smash it. A gentle tap will suffice. If you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. And make sure you check out the links in the description, where you'll find my Caverns Creatures series of comedy fantasy novels, Sam's full review of the spell, and other fun things.